Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 53 of the ArtaCast. This is actually the second time we record because the first time, I tell you, I'm completely stupid. I had this mic up. You couldn't hear me right, so we had to record the full episode. I hope you appreciate it. Um, yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot of stuff, obviously, because the new set is it's not out yet, but we have like the full card of the new set, and we could actually test a good amount and with the new cards with proxies and stuff, and came to some first if you can say conclusions, our first impressions of the meta game, how it could be in the future, and we have a lot of decks we want to show you today. And we cannot completely say that, but I have good hopes for green purple in the. That's just a disclaimer I want to say. A good hopes for green purple in the new set was, which always makes us happy, and at least it's for me like a deck to work on, and that's always fun for me if I have a new task, a new deck that I can work on, which feels new, and I can yeah adapt to some stuff and that's exciting. But overall, LD, it's a hard question to answer probably. But how do you feel after the first, I don't want to say half of a week of the new meta game? Is there something that surprised you, or were you surprised by a lot of stuff, or is it the way you thought it would be? And do you like it? Do you like it?
Yeah. Yeah, so initial reaction is that I do like it. I think that I'm having a lot of fun. There's been a lot more new stuff to do this time round than we've seen for maybe the past couple of sets. So the last two sets in a row, I think we kind of had it felt like what was good in the fabled metagame got solved very quickly, and then things became very stale. Last set largely just like improved on that. Those decks got some upgrades. For the first time in a while, it feels like there are some new things to do. There are some cards that can change archetypes or make entirely new archetypes at least semi-viable. Um, some of the stuff that's like completely new has been a bit underwhelming for me, and I think that you'd probably agree that across the board, decks that previously were good are still good. That should come as no surprise. There's nothing that's happened here fundamentally that means Blurple is bad or Purple Steel is bad as such. But there are smaller changes which push some of those decks down a little bit, and other things get slightly more powerful. So we'll get into that as we go through decks in more detail, I'm sure. But on the surface, I'm really happy. I'm having a lot of fun. There's been a lot of stuff to experiment with, and I think there's like a big panicked reaction going on to the power of Great Mother Willow, which is like our big bad of the set. This is the thing that early in a set cycle, there is always something that feels so powerful in a vacuum or so linearly powerful in these early testing stages where aggressive stuff tends to shine. There is always something that starts to look a bit too good, and this time it's Great Mother Willow. I do think the card is very, very good indeed, but I'm not sure if I'm completely on board with. People are quick to call for a ban. If a card's getting banned from this set at all, I reckon it probably is Great Mother Willow, but I'm not on board with a ban unless they ditch a load of stuff with it, which based on past precedent isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, where are you at with the tree? How do you feel about the tree?
yeah, it's obviously very strong. I mean, the ban discussion is always like a weird thing. Obviously, too early to say that. I mean, what I really think, what is for sure concerning, is about that I think the Grandmother Willow leads to games which are unbeatable for any strategy unless you really
Hmm.
shoot it down with only steel cards like fighter cannons or stuff. And that's too streamlined, the answers, I think. And if you, because for the listeners, like Grandmother Willow leads to, you can do turn 3 tramp now. You can play a 1-drop, then you can play Grandmother Willow plus a 1-drop, and then you can play the the tramp, which get discounted for every character, like on turn 3, because you have the Grandmother Willow discount additionally. So, and this is like nearly unbeatable for any deck, and that feels, of course, a bit crazy.
Mm.
Um, I mean, we have to take a look on that, and maybe it gets really out of hand, and everybody complains and thinks this is a bad state, and then they have to react. But yeah, it's unlikely. I mean, we didn't only have one ban yet. Yeah, two if you count Bucky, so two bans. And yeah, so it's not very often that they ban something. So I don't know. But you would also say it's not very likely that they. Oh yeah.
Well, so I don't want to give too much away up front because we're going to go through some decks and
Yeah.
talk about them individually. But I think that I said this in a conversation earlier today in Discord with some people that like the Great Mother Willow is the only thing that is basically concealing, like loosely concealing how incredibly good I think Blurple is this set. So I think that Blurple is a good deck that got better. And right now the headline news is all about all of these Amber decks because they have just like got way stronger and they lead the Great Mother leads to way more non-games, like you say. There are far more non-games, but like maybe the biggest reason for me why I'm inclined to say that there won't be a ban is that I think the format you're left with after would not necessarily be great. Or like
Yeah,
it's
that's
like you chop one thing down that's way too good, and then all it does is reveal like then just everything changes proportionally. It's not like there is a flat format
mm-hmm,
with Amber decks going crazy
mm-hmm,
and it's way better than everything else.
mm-hmm,
It's like there are tiers, and if you kick one off the top, you will still be left with an incredibly, incredibly good deck on top, which has cards that are worthy of being in band discussions.
mm-hmm,
So I don't think it changes the picture much. That's
mm-hmm.
where I think I understand
Yeah, that's
it's
reasonable.
scary. It's the start. It's the start of a set cycle. It's always a scary time when something comes along that's kind of interrupting your standard play patterns, and you have to make some deck building concessions to beat it, and that never feels good, really. I think it's a normal, healthy part of TCGs. If something's powerful, you should have to build your deck to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I understand why it's disruptive to people and why they would say that this is like prohibitively disruptive to the way that they want to play the game.
I mean, the
Yeah,
argument is for, yeah, I mean, we can talk about that later, but the argument is that if you say Blurple is also very, very strong, then you have at least not a non-game, because if you lose to Blurple, it's not a non-game. It's like
yeah,
you
right,
can do all your stuff. Maybe it's all too weak, but it's like, yeah, it's the Bucky problem a bit, like but yeah.
exactly.
Um, we will have an eye on. I mean, we don't we have no decision making, but it's like we will see what happens, and yeah, we have to live with what we have. Yeah. So, and I agree with you with all the other takes you made. I mean, people should always like have a realistic like expectation from a new set. So in this set cycle, in this rotation cycle, I would say all the decks you did were on top will probably. I mean, it's only one more set actually for the rotation cycle. Will probably always be playable. Like I don't see like that decks like Blurple or Purple Steel are completely unplayable. I think these are too like there are too many cards that these decks have that doesn't make them unplayable. So if you want to really have like completely new meta game, that's always probably when rotation comes and not when a new set releases. So
hmm
if
Yeah,
you expect a complete new meta game, I wouldn't expect that from one new set. I would expect that from from a rotation then, yeah, because no matter how bad or how people complain about rotation, it really was a shake up completely in the meta game. There were like this complete new environment, and complete decks were, yeah, not playable anymore. So yeah, so just in expectation for even set 12 or something, yeah, you will live have to live with the decks that we have and also with like the interactions that we have. And for me personally, and I made my peace with that, and it's totally fine. I don't want to complain or something. I just think this will not be my favorite rotation cycle, but that's totally fine. And that
Mm.
will hopefully, but it's still cool to work on new decks and stuff, and I have fun. That's not. But I just accepted that I think I kind of expect to have so much fun that I had with set 3 green purple or something. That's probably not. Probably, maybe it will, but that's just my feeling. And if you make your expectations like them, that you don't are disappointed afterwards, and I think it's better for you. Don't know, long speech. I don't know.
No, I completely agree. I think that like there's something to be said for like you have to think about things in proportion, which is
Mhm,
that I'm like you. I've fallen. I had so much fun around set three, to set two, set three.
mhm,
It was like by far and away the most I've ever enjoyed a card game. Um, but so I have a tendency to compare how I feel
mhm,
now to then because that was like the peak. But like what I'm coming to realize is that that was an anomaly. That was a high spike, and
mhm,
actually I should just compare how I feel to like how I felt playing other card games. So this current format, the format before, like I still enjoy them more than I ever enjoyed any Magic the Gathering standard
mhm,
format for the
mhm,
most
mhm,
part. So it's just about proportionality. It's that
mhm,
you choose your perspective. Is this worse than the best Lorcana format you've ever experienced, or is this better than the other formats you've experienced in other games? So, like, when I think of it that way, I realize that fundamentally I do love this game and I find it to be more enjoyable than
mhm,
basically every other card game I've ever played. So, yeah, I'm going in with a good, positive mindset,
mhm.
feeling good about it. And like you say, rotation brings revolution, sets bring evolution. So,
Yeah, that's a
anything
good.
that's net new.
That's a good. That's a good sentence. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we are not even we come into the position of complain. We don't complaining. I just wanted to say that for people who are already tilted by this tree stuff or so, maybe yeah, just or other or think like oh Blurple is still there and so yeah, I wouldn't expect to them for leaving. Yeah, that's just because I saw many messages like, "Oh, Blurple and Purple Steel, it's all the same and stuff." And yeah, I think you can't wait for a set to change that too much. So okay, do we actually want to go into our decks, which we want to talk
Yeah,
about?
let's have a look at some decks.
Yeah, the first deck we talk about is actually my yeah. It's like I don't want to say fun deck because I think it has like it could have legs. But maybe not in the way I built it. It's yeah, maybe even like close to something like this. It's the Circle of Life type build. I saw the new Todd. I was so happy to saw the Shift Todd. It's the most beautiful card for me ever. It's one of the best Disney characters. It's from a great movie. I love the card so much. I want to have it 4 times, no matter if it's playable or not. Um, and I was so happy that he got revealed that I thought I have to build something with that. And he is from the legendaries, I think, one of the most appealing build around
Mm-hmm.
cards. Yeah, I mean there are other good cards like the Donald and stuff, but it's like um, yeah, he's cool at least. And then yeah, I played this. I want to play a full high roll deck, and it is actually this deck is completely able to high roll. I don't want to say every game, but it has a lot of outs to high roll. So basically, what you can do in this deck with two different shift lines is Clarabelle and Todd, and you have this new Akut song, which you can like on you play with turn one either Clarabelle or Todd. On turn two you play Angel or Ursula Vanessa, and then on turn three if you sing Akut, then you can actually shift on turn three either Clarabelle or Todd. I have to say Clarabelle is not super strong on turn three because you have still a decent hand size then because you draw back with the Akut and stuff. Um, but it's still like she's there, and then maybe next turn you can dump your hand or stuff. And yeah, and Todd like quests forever. It's actually crazy. And then if you like improvise him, he can quest again. So he can actually quest 2 times in one turn sometimes. It's just run it once away with the game very far. And then you have like 4 under the seas with a very consistent way of singing that very early, which helps against all the aggro stuff. Under the sea is one of the ways to beat that actually. Um, yeah, so I think that's the a lot of things in this archetype is appealing for me. Like Under the Sea is very appealing for sure, and against the control decks, you can do some high roll early stuff, which they are sometimes really um, not able to answer. And you have this new Widow Tweed, which can this is crazy. When you have a Todd in your discard and you play Widow Tweed, you can play him for free. Then you have this 2 quester, which has this deadline of the Vincenzo, which was very annoying. From yeah, I mean it quests for 2 instead of 3, but still 2/8 is, and the Todd, it's so much pressure. And yeah, it's kind of consistent. You have a lot of filter like with Scrooge and Strike a Good Match and the Tramp and stuff. So yeah, I think for people, if you want this as a starting point, um, maybe there is a really good. It got better for sure in this new set, this Circle of Life type builds, because you have this. These are cool. This in general, maybe we talk about that now. In general, a bit underwhelming, but in this type of build,
Yeah.
it's perfect. That's the reason to play this card. A deck like this is where this card really shines, and I think this card existing makes the whole archetype, yeah, a bit more able to high roll and stronger in general. I don't know how you feel about
Mm,
it.
nice. Yeah, I like it. I'm really glad that you brought up Akud because I think I completely agree that it's one of those cards which I know we were both really, really high on
Hmm.
it, and I think it's like it's definitely good, but its
Hmm.
use cases are a little there are fewer use cases than I expected to like I basically thought every amber deck will be able to do something powerful with this, and
Hmm.
actually in
Hmm.
practice it doesn't really fit into a lot of them. It's tough to squeeze in. It
Hmm.
makes a lot of them play Angel when they wouldn't want to be, but this deck very much is something that it can fit into. So like while I've been very underwhelmed by things like turn 2 genies, turn 3 shifting Toddle, shifting Clarabelle is actually very, very powerful and obviously super good when you're singing in Under the Sea right away. So yeah, I really like it. I think totally agree. Circle of Life is like something that I picked up going into the set because I think it's majorly likely to
Have relevance, yeah.
increase in playability. I think there are very powerful things you can do with it. Um, yeah, really like it, and I think that like as a starting point for you trying to find your Todd deck, this is probably the best that a Todd deck is going to look.
Yeah,
So
that's
regardless
true.
of where you go from here, I think you've found the powerful thing to do with Todd, which is good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if I'm completely honest, maybe you play just like I don't know other stuff like in these spots for Todd, and it may be maybe even stronger. But I actually think there's not many too oppressive shift lines in the early game.
Mm,
So for with a 1 drop as a shift target, so you have the Chippendale also, which you
yep.
could do that. But that's not super. Yeah, it's also good. It's everything is good if you shift that on turn 3. But, um, yeah, um, yeah,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, I really like it. I think there's definitely something there, and it's probably something I'll explore at some point. And I'm keen to play some Circular Life this set, so I really like the idea.
Nice. What is your first deck that you want to show us?
I want to start off. Well, while we're on Amber Emerald, let's have a look at um, the Rockstar Stitch deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, nervous laughter beginning. Yeah, so I started off thinking that so this wasn't like this is the build I've been playing as pictured here, but it's not an original creation. I first saw it from my friend Dave, and I thought it was a bit of a gimmicky approach to dogs. It basically is like the most disgusting grandmother willow deck you can imagine. Uh, it so you mentioned that like the grandmother willow decks do things like tramp on turn 3. This
Mm-hmm.
does that incredibly consistently, but also can do things like shift Rockstar Stitch on turn 3 and start to play all these cheap characters and just draw a bunch of cards. So, like a game I played earlier today, turn 1 Pluto, turn 2 play a Grandmother Willow, and then activate the Willow to play 1-cost Stitch for free. Turn 3, activate Pluto, activate Willow, shift Stitch, ink for turn, play a 1-drop, draw a card, and I have 4 characters in play, including an unexerted Rockstar Stitch. My opponent has a Tipo in play, and
And
yeah, it's
then
pretty hard for them to come back from there.
and then the one drop was a Lilo, and you played 4 patches additionally.
Yeah, I mean that can happen. Yeah,
That can happen
so
actually. Yeah.
this kind of deck is where Pudge is really at its best because a 0-cost 1/3 is like it's not really good, but it's at its best when you care about the number of bodies you have in play in the first few turns. So it's a really important thing for fast tramps.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good as a 0-cost Rockstar Stitch activation,
Mm-hmm.
and like often when when you don't have Lilos and it's around, it's just an easy ink choice. It to me is like this is a slam dunk Pudge deck. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I can totally see that.
yeah,
Yeah.
this this just does some crazy stuff. I'm very high on Nanny in general as well.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic card. Yeah, so like you can do with Rockstar Stitch because it's a shift line as well. Like you can do what I explained before and sing Under the Sea from your third turn. Uh, the one thing that's missing from here, because I've been playing it very recklessly and just kind of goldfishing the incredibly powerful draws, is some number of Ursulas or Mowglis to your
Mm-hmm.
liking. You will need to find some cuts in across these 1-drops and 2-drops. It's not too hard to find them. You can sort of squeeze numbers wherever you see fit. And maybe Pudge is a pretty easy kind of trim, but I don't know. I love Pudge in a deck like this. Yeah,
Yeah,
you need
of course.
some amount of disruption. I think. I don't think you can just roll with 0. I like I
Mm-hmm.
say, I've been playing it recklessly, but like even just playing that way, this just goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think,
I imagine like if you do that all the
yeah,
stuff and then your opponent does here spooky side and then you have
yep,
like 12 ink and you just slam all the stuff
yep.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, so you make a really good point, which is like, okay, no Mowgli's. How do you beat a spooky site? Well, what I do is when they spooky me and put 4 things into my inkwell, when I'm against blue decks that I think are, that I either know or think are playing spooky site, so basically they are blue yellow, blue steel. A Blurple deck would take me by surprise with spooky site, that's for sure. But if I was playing against the other two, you hold a Rockstar Stitch back and you don't commit it, or you can just play it because spooky site doesn't
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
rid of the Stitch, and then you just go off the next turn. You draw a 2-drop and just put them all into play, and
Yeah.
every single thing you play draws you a card again. So you can either hold a Stitch back for after the sweep, or you can just shift it into it because it's fine, it's going to live, and it just starts your engine again. Yeah, this deck is absurdly powerful. I think
Mm-hmm.
it might be like it might it might not be a gimmick. It might be like one of, if not the most powerful dogs build. Like
Mm-hmm.
I say, um, it needs the kind of dogs experts
Mm-hmm.
to work out the right amount of disruption to play, to work out like how the numbers should be with Under the Sea and Chromacon. But in terms of just like a base kit and plan, this is just nuts. It just goes crazy. If you want to do something explosive, proactive, this does it. And the first time that you just curve Pluto into Grandmother Willow plus a 1-drop on turn 2,
It's
and
unreal.
even you could even play another one by activating Pluto if you can get away with it. It's this cheats on ink like nothing else. So I think it's crazy good. I
Mm-hmm.
probably had the fun that you. I think I have experienced the fun that you can experience with this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has become boring to me. I've done the thing
Yeah,
enough
I mean,
times, and it's become kind of boring.
it doesn't change ever,
No,
probably in any game. I mean, you're sometimes probably a bit reliant on that Stitch. Yeah, I mean, you have Tramp too. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah. Often the tramp is finding like
yeah. Oh my
you use a
gosh.
tramp to find your stitch and then go off the next turn.
I'm a bit disgusted.
Yeah, it's
Can we
pretty
move on?
consistent. Yes, we can move on. You don't have to look at this any longer. I won't force you to continue looking at that.
No, it's
And
fine.
actually, let's go straight to Amber Steel because this is the other deck that's probably that this build will look quite wonky to people. This is what I've been playing Amber Steel. We call it
Wow.
Anti Tree Club. Um, this is the super aggressive tree deck that kills other super aggressive tree
Hmm.
decks,
I get
and
that.
also is remarkably resilient against a lot of other things as well. So, uh, playing 4 dump trucks, 4 Kakamuras, and it maybe like a lot of people have maybe never seen an 8 dump truck deck in effect. So 4 dump truck, 4 Kakamora, 4 fire cannons is like insanely hateful. But with your grandmother willows and everything, you could just get a bunch of these questers down, and it's so easy to find like an extra 1 ink to cannons their one thing in play. So quite often, a lot of these slower decks they'll just play like Basil or Elonwe on turn 1, and then on your turn 1 you've played ideally a daisy or something, then you play another 1 drop plus a dump truck and kill their thing. Suddenly you've got 3 bodies in play, they have 0. um this deck just snowballs off that advantage. Use nannies to make sure you find your docks. Try and save a strength for a big thing if you can get away with it. There are builds you can still play Aurora Tiana builds, but this is like super hateful for just like this is me just noticing that the tree decks are crazy. Can I play something that is hyper aggressive but specifically kills the tree decks and also has game into the slower stuff as well? So this you really do have to play quite conservatively into like spooky site decks. You have to be very careful with how you manage your resources, holding nannies and docks back so that you don't get completely blown out by those things while also maintaining pace and racing fast. But yeah, I've had like maintained a very good win rate with this list,
Hmm.
and it's definitely the kind of thing that is like it can only exist because of the it's only good because of the context it exists in right now.
Hmm.
If the tree decks get hated out, there's no point in playing this.
Hmm.
But if you want an aggro deck that wins aggro mirrors, this really does it. And if you've never like I've played these they were dubbed toilet style decks because they have it's so stupid. It's called a toilet deck because it has dumps and cacas, which like caca is an American like it's a
It's a
word that
German word
Americans use,
too.
like a childish American word for poop, and
Yeah.
dump is a British word for poop. So it gets called a toilet deck. Which is brilliant.
That's
I've played them in
brilliant.
the past. Like Green Steel Toilet was a lot of fun, and yeah, just it felt like with all these X1s and Grandmother Willows running around, it just felt to be like, right, four cannons, 4 dump truck, 4 Kakamora, where do we go from here? And yeah, you just land somewhere like this. It should note as well, like the uninkable Lilo, um, having all these bodies that just randomly ping small things and keep your opponent on exactly one character in play is like
Hmm.
very, very positive for that Lilo. She quests for tons. You get away with a lot more by keeping your opponent's board clear, which is
Hmm.
kind of like, well, duh. If my opponent can't trade, I quest for more. But it's a nice little synergy there. Plays pretty nicely. Yeah, if people that you know are just crushing you with Grandmother Willow decks, like this is so hateful. You can just play this and just ping everything. You could, if they play with the Rockstar deck, which like some people will definitely try because it's super powerful combo style deck. Just ping their Stitches, ping their Grandmother Willows, and pretty tough for them to do anything about that.
Nice. What's with the shift Lilo? Did you try
Yeah,
that?
yeah, really, really good point. Because and multiple Lilos here. We want
Hmm.
to. We're pretty light on card draw, so you would think Rockstar Lilo slots right in and brings back your docks. Rockstar Lilo is a very powerful card as printed that tends to achieve almost nothing for me all the time.
Oh, really?
I played many, many games with Rockstar Lilo versions of this deck. I've played lots of Amber Steel with that, specifically for that case of bringing back docks and trying to make
Hmm.
that happen and maintaining some level of resource through that. it just did nothing so frequently.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's really really hard to explain because like there'll be people that hear that and think, well, how what do you mean? Surely you just shift it and bring back a dock. No, it's not as simple as that. Often the dock is in play and you would rather quest. Often like the other stuff you bring back is a bit inconsequential. Often the Lilo feels she's like a terrible top deck because you never ink high enough to play her naturally. And there are a load of reasons why actually like every single slot in this deck has to do a lot, and she was just doing too little. And I think quite a lot of other people seem to agree on that, or they're coming around to the idea that this card that was appeared like it was going to be very powerful in these builds is not doing a lot. I can certainly see it in like a slower, more grindy Amber Steel build, but no, for me, she was just doing nothing and didn't end up making the cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think if you have a deck, you explained it, like if you have a deck that beats aggro, and aggro decks are also like aimed to beat control, then you should have a strong deck. If you have a deck that beats aggro and control, then you have probably the best deck in the format. I mean, it's not said, but like that is the goal for every. No, it's just the goal for every deck to beat aggro and control. And if you say like
Yeah,
that's capable of doing, then it's for sure a very strong deck. I can totally see that.
yeah. I mean,
Nice.
the only matchup I've really struggled with is Blurple on the draw.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Like everyone, you mean?
Yeah, Blurple on the draw is
Yeah.
really, really tough. You have to, they need, you have to kill their one drops, which you can do, obviously. You have tons of ways to do that. You have to get a strength off on the Cheshire Cat. They have to not have a second Cheshire Cat. They have to not have more than one Elsa. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, I can
really
totally
hard.
see that.
Yeah, so maybe we go straight from there to Blurple as we're already talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, this is my pick for best deck in the format. I think that Blurple is very, very good. I think that the additions of Pete and Let It Go just take the deck's removal and draw engines to even crazier heights than they were at before. Like this already drew tons of cards, and now it's just completely crazy. Lots of people are doing different things with the four slot, so it's weird. Like with a really big target on Great Mother Willow's back, there are lots of fire cannons around, which is making people not want to play Iago. Um, I think that's a good argument for now. Like maybe it's time to shelf Iago, play something else in the slot. But yeah, there are a few things people are trying. One of them that I'm really liking is Tigger, the 4-cost Tigger that bounces a 2-cost or less character item or location to a player's hand. When you go first and you just ramp turn 2 into turn 3 Tigger on their 2-drop, leaving them with just a 1-drop in play or a couple of 1-drops if it was a tree, it's a very, very important part of slowing those aggressive decks down. And yeah, between that and Cheshire Cat, Elsa, all these things, um, this deck is surprisingly resilient against the aggressive stuff. Like a lot of those aggressive decks really struggle to beat Cheshire Cats. It's still
Yep.
the best card in the format, I think. And Blurple is the best deck for it. So yeah, I know you've played a lot of Blurple before, and I've been talking for a
Mm-hmm.
long time. I'm interested to hear how you feel about the deck at the moment. Are you as high on it as I am?
No, I wouldn't say as high as you, but
Okay.
still very. Yeah, it's too early to say for me. Maybe I also played. I played much, but not so much that I can confidently say that. For me, what made it really powerful is the Tigger actually, because
Mm-hmm.
I think Pete and Let It Go are also very great additions, but Tigger is the card that is so crazy for me that that's the missing. You can beat Aggro on the draw now.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me. So if the meta develops like it is now, I could see Tigger going in most lists to 3 or 4 copies, because if you have on the play, it's unlosable. If you on turn 3 Tigger their their grandmother Willow, then it's completely won. But even if on the draw you can crawl back. Um, yeah, there are some question marks for me, like also the blue-yellow deck, for instance. I could see
Yep.
that grinding this deck out a bit. I don't know,
Yeah, for
maybe,
sure.
maybe, maybe. So if that becomes a relevant part, and it gets a bit less strong, the Blurple, but yeah, it's for sure contender for one of the for the best deck. That's I don't want to doubt that. It's super strong. I agree with you. Let it go. And Pete, also, you have so much more spot removal now on ready characters, and
Hmm.
Pete is Pete is Pete is insane for me, and it's so much the
Yeah.
better Moana for me. People are high on Moana, but I think this card is just better in nearly every aspect,
Yeah.
and is a super versatile card. I think this card could be uninkable and still playable. So yeah, I think I'm super. The builds are. I mean, your list is a very standard build, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they will adapt and see how the builds will turn out. But Let It Go, Pete, and Tigger, I think are three cards that you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, Tigger is so because like Blurple was always like one of the best decks, but they struggled on the draw against Aggro massively, especially against decks like dogs and stuff. And even against purple steel sometimes, because if they go 1, 2, 3 strength, it's still hard then if they go too wide and stuff. But yeah, this Tigger buys you a lot of time and also like has a
Mm.
solid stat line. And for instance, if you play against a Tiana pile, even on the draw, you bounce back their Nala, and then this can uh, kill the Tiana if you want it. Like you can pay. It has 4 strength to kill the Tiana.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You just pay it.
yeah, yeah,
You just pay it and find something else to do with your other two ink the
yeah.
turn after, and
And that's at least
like
an option then to kill the Tiana. Maybe you do something
yeah.
else with your ink, but it's very good to have that option. So if Tiana becomes again like a very important part for aggressive decks, which I could see maybe, then yeah, I mean this is very yeah. Blurple is super strong. I totally agree. Yeah.
I tell you what, if you want a real thrill with Tigger, like if you want to feel alive, you want to feel properly what it means to be a human, what it means to experience the full joys of life. Blurple versus Amber Amethyst, a matchup that last set was considered not so amazing for Blurple because all their horseman strikes and stuff were quite bad for you. They play on turn two, you sail or Tipo. They play their lantern, then you play Tigger and bounce their lantern, and
Ooh,
just remind them how much lantern is
oh
not
my
sail.
gosh!
That is like a
Like
beating. When you undo their
oh,
ramp is that's mwah,
this
chef's
is that's
kiss. It's
GG.
just fantastic.
It's
Yeah, that is
probably
GG.
yeah. That is. Oh my god! Oh, then it
You're
becomes
like,
even a four. If the oh my gosh, it becomes yeah. Come on. This is play this card, please. Play Tigger and Blurple. I tell you.
when you do it and it's like, hey bro, you dropped this brick, you need to pick your brick up and just have this lantern in your hand. Like, what are you going to do with that lantern on
And they
turn three in your
probably
hand?
have no 3 drop or something because they kept
Yeah,
it not
because all
because
they played is cat.
yeah.
Yeah,
And they didn't keep the cat maybe because later want to play a 4 drop or something, so they inked her maybe or something.
I
Crazy.
feel like it's like it perfectly exposes like, so Amber Amethyst is a mid-range deck that occasionally poses as a ramp deck through Lantern, and it's just like, you know, at the end, in Scooby Doo, when they pull the mask off the villain and they're like, "Ah, it was you all along." It feels like pulling the mask off of this thing that was pretending to be a ramp deck and just being like, "Aha, it was just a bad mid-range deck." Not that deck's not bad. It's definitely not bad at all. I'm still pretty high on Amber Amethyst, but you really catch them out when they've planned all their line around turn two Lantern, and then you bounce it back with Tigger. It's just like That's peak. That's peak
That's
gaming
peak.
for
Yeah.
me. Doesn't get any better than that.
It's even on the draw. Okay. I mean, they play the four
Yeah.
drop no matter what. You don't lose too much tempo then. Crazy. Nice. When we talk about I just realized when we talk about what do we say about the board wipe? Because I want to shortly talk about that because I
Mm,
was very surprised by that.
yeah.
Because I actually was very surprised that they nerfed B prep, and I didn't know really. I still don't know why. Actually, I found B prep always a very very balanced card.
Hmm.
I didn't see the necessity to nerf it. In the past, it was like I can't remember of anyone saying like B prep is undercosted. Always thought like, okay, you have to build a deck that beats B prep decks either before the B prep or after that, and I thought that's reasonable. I never and now they nerfed it really hard. I think because people
Mm,
could might say like, oh yeah, okay, it's one cost more. But if you would say it's a one cost or two cost, it's a crazy difference. But if you were say 7 or 8 cost, it's sounds not much. But if you have a full more turn as an aggressive deck or something to go to 20 before they can wipe the board, that's a huge difference actually.
yeah,
And
it's the difference between winning and losing a game is quite a big difference.
yeah.
Yeah. Dying to Daisy versus stabilizing completely. Actually, yeah, it's a pretty big gap between those experiences.
Um, and how do you feel? Did you have the same feeling? Maybe I was
I
just
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I share how you feel. The pace of the game feels like it's increasing. The
Hmm.
overall strength of characters had a big tick up in the last set. So I guess to me it feels a little odd. Like I'm not mad at the fact that this card is a little
No,
overcosted,
no.
but it's like it felt a little odd to me that like threats get better, but the unconditional board clear gets worse. That feels weird. Like couldn't we like be
Yeah.
prepared was fine. The game was like it was a really important balancing factor in the game. Um, we like I don't think many competitive players like I understand why something like Be Prepared is very negative part of the new player experience because you feel like you are linearly building a board and progressing towards something and you're just that feeling of having it all taken away at once is really really horrible. For people that have played multiple card games, they understand that an unconditional board clear is like an really really critical balancing factor for a game. There has to be something like that open to keep these meta games reasonably healthy. And when we didn't have one, we really felt like you could feel its absence. The board clears were wonky and one-sided and relied on three-card combos that were reasonably easy to set up because there was no board clear. So it was yeah, it was pretty odd. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really unsure how to feel about Raging Storm.
Yeah. It's hard to say
So
because
yeah.
I also feel like the important part for B prep being so good or like being a good playable card is like the follow-ups were great in Ruby
Yep.
because
They were fantastic.
you can play the ladies and stuff or even like Maleficent Dragon or maybe even Sisus and stuff and now I see only blue yellow, so really as a good follow-up card because you have Hades then or something.
Hmm.
Amber yellow is something I think. Do you play that there because you wipe the board and then maybe have an Elsa or something because the opponent will deploy more characters and then you need another board wipe or something
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel the card really shines only maybe in blue amber, and that is a still not being said that it is super viable because it's such a slow deck and should fold into a lot of aggro stuff. But then they have like the spooky. Oh, such a weird scenario again. Like we have the
Mm,
spooky side, and do you win if you have that on turn four, but you lose if you don't have that, and it should not feel very. Yeah, satisfying to win or lose by that card. I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. Do you think it will have a high meta? Less than pre-prep for sure, I guess, but it's
yeah, I
yeah.
would say it's probably going to have a lot less meta impact than Be Prepared had. When Be Prepared was kind of like the whole game was to some extent regulated by that card, which is odd for me to say that after suggesting that it wasn't oppressive. I don't think it was oppressive. I think we
Yeah,
played
it
around
was.
it. We played the game that it allowed us to play, which was like actually very balanced and back and forth and um yeah, typically quite grindy. I think this will have less impact. I think it all comes down to, I agree with you. In Amber Amethyst, it just feels like it doesn't have a place. So you could play one as it one or two of,
Hmm.
but then often it's going to really brick up your hand. I
It
don't
also
know. You're going to
really
struggle
bad
to get
together
there.
with the
Like,
Mona because you have the Mona then, and then you have like this card in your hand, and you can't dump it, and yeah,
yeah,
it's
it
it's weird.
feels really unnatural, and it's like a deck that's playing Lantern. Like, really, you're skipping your ink by playing Lantern, and then you're always a turn, but you're trying to naturally ink to 8 for this sweeper. It just feels really weird.
Yeah.
Um, So to me, it all comes down to how good Amber Sapphire is,
Hmm.
and that deck has a gaping hole in it for its aggro matchups. It has very few early turn tools. Like you say, it lives and dies by its ability to spooky aggro decks on turn 4.
Hmm.
So if they want, they can get away with that. It's actually pretty easy to play around a Mowgli, just hold an additional action to protect your spooky, but then, it's asking quite a lot of you to have turn 2 ramp, turn 3 Cindy, and then still be holding 2 actions. If you spooky them quickly, it can be quite hard for some of them to catch back up.
Yeah, but then
I've had games where I get spookied and then I rebuild for 1 turn and then they Raging Storm, and that's GG. If you get spookied into a storm after, that can be really, really hard to come back from. But even then, like you say, their follow ups aren't great. To
yeah,
me,
I
like
mean,
that's a deck that, yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, the problem is also this is a giga brick in some matchups, like a giga brick
Yeah, it
into
is.
Blurple or something. You just have to Cindy it, or is completely, yeah, completely clumping up your hand. And this one card can sometimes, this clumped up card can sometimes decide games. So you are really unhappy, I think, as an Amber Sapphire player to include this into your deck, but it's a necessity. There are really no other tools in these color combinations. You don't even have like cards like Louis or something that would help, but it's
Hmm.
just not possible. It's just not nothing available for these color combination. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So we'll see. It's for
yeah.
sure good that it exists, but yeah,
Yeah, Amber Sapphire is one of those decks that's like it's lurking for when aggro gets hated out of the format.
yeah.
Like you can play a greedier board clearing deck that relies on beating other mid range decks as long as there's not too much aggro around. So it's like one of those decks that it's currently quite hard to test because people are heavily testing the aggro stuff, um, which
It's
makes
so
me very unsure about its future. To me, I don't like it. I'm not into that. I find it very, very slow. I think that the losses will feel terrible because they just sort of happened to you with you not being able to do anything about it. Um,
it's
and
so
your wins
sad.
will probably also feel quite terrible. So
It's so sad that I don't play Mickey anymore. Then I would feel real nostalgic if we play Detective Mickey. I remember that one. I played Detective Mickey into Surfer Stage. That was peak Lorcana.
yeah,
Turn 3 detective, turn 4 detective, and then stage. Oh, oh.
yeah, that was really good.
But yeah. Um, yeah, they need to. Yeah, I mean, for me, that would be a cool deck. I would like to play something like that, but it's yeah. If I hate in general, I hate decks that die to aggro, or you're uh, completely afraid since turn one to get run over. So
Yeah.
yeah, I always play something that's very good into aggro. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm the
yeah.
same way. I really don't like playing scared. I don't like knowing that mulliganing blind, I have to make sure I have specific tools to like if I don't have XYZ card at my opener and my opponent happens to be playing this prominent aggro deck, I lose. I hate feeling that way. So I need
Hmm.
flexible cards and a deck that largely has a fine matchup into that. And then, I always said like my philosophy for set champs in the past has always been play something that doesn't fold to aggro and then just let your decision making grind out the games against
Yeah.
other stuff.
That's
Like I'll accept
that was
worse
purple
control
steel
matchups
most of the
because I can
time. Yeah,
exactly,
in this set
exactly.
rotation. When we speak
Just
about
play
purple
purple
steel,
steel and try. Yeah.
what do we want to
Mm.
look on your
Yeah, yeah.
création?
Let's look at purple steel. Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to say something about the deck?
It's largely unchanged.
Mm-hmm.
Purple steel does not change too much, but we want to draw some attention to a 3-cost genie.
Mm-hmm.
That's a super good card,
Mm-hmm.
and was a little bit slapped on in initial spoilers. I think, yeah, that genie can go kind of crazy. Very much just sits there slowly ticking up. You don't have to do anything with it, and it just is like this ominous threat that at some point is you got a delicate balance to make where at some point you have to cash it in for a big
Yeah,
chunk of
yeah.
lore.
It remembers me so much. I just want to say, like, you didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Did you play Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, no, I
No.
never played Yu-Gi-Oh. No.
Um, there was a card like for the Yu-Gi-Oh players and the listeners, Wave Motion Cannon. If you remember that Wave Motion Cannon, it remembers me so much. Wave Motion Cannon was a card. It was just a spell. You played that, and then it was like an ongoing spell, and it charged every turn. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, you had 8,000 life points, and it charged every turn for 1,000 life points. And at some point, you had to shoot it, actually, to shoot it to for the amount of life points it gathered. And if you didn't shoot it, then maybe your opponent could. There were a lot of trap destruction in the game, like which could get rid of it. So you had always had the risk, like, do I charge one more turn or do I shoot it? And in GD is exactly the same. Like you have like boosted up 3 times, and we quest for four. I have to quest now, even if he gets traded up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny. It's the same feeling for me, but it's very. What I really like about the card is like it is also very skill expressive. I think because you have this decision
Yeah.
like in when do I quest. Sometimes it's. I mean, sometimes if your opponent doesn't have anything, you quest immediately. But yeah, it's tricky sometimes to play with the card.
Mm.
I like him to exist, and it's also like you say, it's like for Purple Steel another ability to quest actually because Purple Steel. What I really didn't like about it in the past that it has so less two questers,
Yeah.
like basically only Genie when you see them, yeah, and Demona, and it's sometimes a bit dirty. What I also tried is the 2-cost Nani, the new one, which you also played in the Ember Steel. I like that
Yeah.
card
Yeah.
actually in the deck
Nice.
because yeah, I think it's just a 2-quester and do a lot of stuff, and yeah, also against these blue decks, it's very cool. It's the best 2-drop you can play on turn 2 against these blue decks, and they need to also later in the game. It's a better top deck than the Black Heron or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Nice. I think that's really smart.
yeah, so that's what it has. So you have actually um, a really cool line against a control deck. You play Palace Guard into if you have that, of course, but Palace Guard into Nani into Genie is actually quite aggressive. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they can get some trouble then, yeah. And you play
Nice.
Tigger
Makes a
too.
lot of sense.
Uh,
Yeah, because
I
because
know
I'm
why. I
addicted
know why.
because I'm addicted to bouncing my own docks. Um, and Tigger can do that. It gives you another way to bounce your own docks on play and then replay dock, and
people would
I just think that's cool.
people would argue with why don't you then play Elephant rather? But you can bounce your opponent's stuff also, like yeah.
Exactly. It's like it does more things worse instead of doing one thing well. So that's why I play it, because it does more in that deck, really makes it crazy. So yeah, I think that's pretty that's really where it excels.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was cut off. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, that's really cool. Um, Tigger is just a great card. Everyone who doesn't like Tigger is weird.
Weird. It's weird to not like that card.
Yeah,
No, I
no,
think
no.
it's
I think
perfectly reasonable to not like that card, but I think it directly appeals to what we like to do in the
yeah,
game. And
yeah. That's
yeah, I
bouncing
just
lanterns.
That's my kind of play, yeah. But I think with purple steel, like it does have it's a less impactful card in that deck.
Hmm.
It's basically got use cases on both sides of the board, and then in addition to Tigger helping you replay docks, which is really good for your card draw and keeping an engine going, you have tons of things in addition to like when I cash in my genie, when I decide it's time to go for the big quest with genie, I can
Hmm.
then just send in an Olaf to trade and bounce back the stack of cards with genie for more pseudo card draw. Um, yeah, I don't think Purple Steel gains a massive amount of like huge upgrades, and it probably also loses out a little bit to the fact that just some of the stuff that it was good at beating is a little bit less prominent. I don't know. It loses some points for me. I'm less interested in Purple Steel in this format than I was
Hmm.
previously. I can't see too many reasons to play it over Blurple, for example, because your biggest case for doing that in the past was kind of like it has much more consistent aggro matchup. I think Blurple actually is pretty handy at beating Blurple at beating aggro on the play.
Hmm.
Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know how do you feel like how do you feel about Purple Steel in general? You think it's as good as it was, or is there
No,
any
I think
fewer?
I agree with you. And the problem is the dogs matchup is not that good anymore because dogs got such a power creep. And this not, especially not the cards that we could add, Nani or Genie are not for the dogs matchup, and so you play basically the same deck against dogs, and they play a better version of themselves, which makes
Yeah.
it even yeah. And what I found out when I played it also a lot, that actually that this is the one deck where these board wipes really shine. The new 8 cost, the Raging Storm, because this deck durdles sometimes around, and you're pretty much able to ramp or something to 8. That's not really hard against Purple Steel. And then
Mm.
if them, yeah, you cannot always like hold a lot of cards in Purple Steel then, and you board wipe, and then as a Purple Steel, you hopefully have like genies and dogs and demonas then left, and keep your keep your stuff going, but it's not always doable. And then you run out of cards, and they can really outgrind you pretty easily. The blue yellow deck is really really hard
For
matchup for
sure.
the blue yellow is really hard for this because it also has the Pete. Pete is really really hard for purple steel to beat. No, no, what, what
Yeah.
what means to beat? It's just a roadblock. You cannot quest anymore as long as Pete is there, and then your opponent just quests with the Pete, so you're forced to quest sometimes that your opponent's Pete can't quest, and then you lose 2 characters to the Pete, which feels very bad. Sometimes you can strengthen it, but it's not always possible. And yeah, I found that matchup really really horrible. And yeah, the Ember board wraps in
I
general
can
hurts
see that.
Purple Steel the most, I think.
Yeah,
So I agree with
I
you.
agree.
It's worse than before, but it's not cut off. Don't cut it off. It's still 1, 2, 3 strength on the play is also still like
Yeah,
you win
it's
the
also
game
yeah,
properly. It's
yeah,
even
yeah.
against Blurple, like your Blurple opponent plays a genie on turn 3. You play your genie and then you strength that genie, then you have 4 characters, so they still not win then, although it's not the best matchup for you. So it's pretty easy sometimes even against Blurple to win games with Purple Steel
Hmm.
still, but it's yeah, it's has doesn't have that always, and if it doesn't have that, then it's like a very fair deck for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Okay,
Nice.
now it gets really cool because now we talk about our babies. Um, no, your babies basically today. Which one do you want to talk first? First the piles.
Let's look at let's look at the piles deck.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those things that we sort of hinted at some new archetypes being playable,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the green purple boost deck is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple ways to build it, but in terms of like your core of the boost characters you see in front of you here, um, I think it's pretty solid. This like it really does a lot. They all kind of together look like pretty dirtily do nothing cards, but yeah, they just sit around like your piles of cards could get bounced back with Olaf for draw, bounced back with Mother Knows Best for draw. They sit around just threatening to draw a ton of things with Donald if people clean them up. Goofy threatens to just completely eliminate your opponent's hand. I'm playing kind of quirky interaction between Boost Genie and Pocahontas, where you can slowly tick your Genie up, then quest for five or for something with Genie, and quest for another five with Pocahontas, which you actually can grind games and get to like weird almost OTK positions with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the mini is really really good. Like there are often situations where you just play a Cheshire Cat on three, one of your big four drops, take a some sort of trade with a Cheshire Cat, and then play mini. So you draw a card, develop a big Ward 2 quester, and activate your Cheshire to take something out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge tempo swing. Um, yeah, I don't know if the final builds will look like this, but like conceptually, this deck is actually decent. Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't try that yet. I played against some of these decks sometimes, and I don't know why, but I didn't have too much problems. But that's not being said. Anything that doesn't say anything. Yeah, I'm actually cannot say too much about it because I didn't try it. I think it's probably a very strong curve out pile. I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and demands a lot from your opponent to beat the curves, the good curves. Yeah, I think. Yeah, if you say that, then it's a good deck. I want to try that actually. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's
A
a
lot
lot
of
of
new
fun. Like
cards.
lots of new cards, and it really, really does play differently to things you've tried before. It's definitely worth trying,
Mm-hmm.
and like you see that big line of four drop four fours there. 4/4 is a really nice stat line at the
Yes.
moment because it's like not so big that it dies to World's Greatest Criminal Mind, but it is big enough that it outsizes lots of important stuff like opposing Cheshire Cats. Um, yeah, it's you need to sort of see the deck in practice. I mean, it just
No, I totally
your
get
opponent
that.
gets into situations where they can't your opponent they find themselves in spots where they can't really take stuff out because you'll draw too many resources. It's yeah, just it's solid. There's definitely a really really decent
Mm-hmm.
tempo-y game plan here that draws a lot, and playing that kind of led me towards the other green purple deck that I'll show
Mm-hmm.
now, which is a more hybrid type build
Mm-hmm.
that blends some of that boost type stuff with some other just like straight up strong cards. And I guess the card we both most want to talk about here is Snowfort. Um, Curving Todd Vixie Snowfort on the play wins a lot more games than people might expect it to. Yeah, I'm eager before we kind of dive into the potential of a hybrid style deck like this. I want to know what you think of Snowfort.
Yeah, I think it's very, very. I'm very happy that this card exists. I'm actually a bit proud that I saw the potential in the card very early, and no one believed me. I told too many people, and they said, the item and stuff. And no, it's actually very. If you find a spot in a game where you can deploy that by losing not too much tempo, you are in a very very good spot. And often these games where you deploy the snowfort, you grind these purple piles out with because you lose tempo a bit when you play the turn three, but then every turn from now on you do more than your opponent basically, and yeah, because your characters are just overstated, and the card is amazingly strong. I think, especially against a lot of stuff, it's also a counterplay to a lot of stuff. That's also very good because it
Hmm.
counterplays to Under the Sea, because all your characters get +1 strength. It counterplays to the Ruby removal stuff, because yeah, they are restricted to two or less strength. And I'm working on this deck a lot right now, and I think there are so many things to try out. For instance, like Lewis. was so amazing with snowfort. It's actually
Yeah,
super
that's
crazy.
a nice
I
interaction.
I play Lewis right now. He gets plus one resist. He gets +1 strength. Your opponent has to run in with their characters. Um, Lewis in itself beats wins games alone against these aggro piles that running around. It's actually really crazy. No one plays like in the past. They played like because they was afraid of Lewis. They played like hooks and Kaloons and stuff, and these aggro Ember Steel piles and dogs. If you play on the play and you lose their tree, this is so over. And then yeah, and also with that, he's also very good against Pete because as long as you have a snow fort, then you play Lewis on their Pete. The Lewis has 5 strength, and the Pete can't quest this turn, and he needs to run with the Pete into the Lewis. That's also a very good
Yeah,
interaction.
nice.
Yeah, I think Lewis for me puts the deck into also a new level because it actually crushes aggro if you really want that. Because if you play 4 Peats, you need only one basically. Sometimes they have a tramp, the 2 cost tramp, and then they buff their character, but not often. And then yeah, you gain so much tempo by peating their stuff, by Lewis their stuff. And yeah, there are a lot of things to try out. The Mona could also be in there. I will work on that very much this season, and also in my. If you want to join me in my MetaFi, I will nearly every day post updated things. I'm very high on the deck. I really like it, and I want to take it to the limits. How far it can get this snowfort stuff. I think it's very appealing for yeah for countering a lot of stuff right now. I think I really like
Mm,
snowfort. Um, and it can be reliant on the snow fort sometimes against some matchups. So that's something to keep in mind to hard mulligan for that. But yeah, it changes this genie math so crazy. Your opponent can do nothing anymore, and you have one snow fort and you have a Cheshire cat. Your opponent has a Cheshire cat. You can quest with your Cheshire cat because they can't trade in. Because everything dies to 4 or more strength. So if you quest with your stuff, they can't really trade in. So you're totally free with questing with all your stuff, and your evasives trade a lot better. And yeah, I really like it. I hope it will have its spot in the meta game. That's really what I hope. And we'll see how it turns out. Yeah, I'm very hopeful for the deck. Yeah. Um,
nice. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. I think yeah, the build that I've shown there is like a few days old now, and
mhm.
definitely the thinking has moved on a little bit. So I'm interested to look at some builds with you over the next few weeks,
Mhm.
and I think there's definitely a really really cool and very viable deck there, which is something we can all be excited about because yeah,
Yeah.
we've been
For
waiting for a
instance,
long time for viable green purple again.
Yeah, for instance, the 2 cost Minnie Mouse was also great for me. Like the new Minnie
Mm,
Mouse, there's a 3/3 Minnie Mouse. Imagine you play the Minnie Mouse, you play Snowfort on turn 3. You can quest with the Minnie Mouse even into a Cheshire Cat or something because she won't die from that trade, and they can't run in, or they always need to run 2 characters in it. It's sometimes really stupid. And Go goes crazy in this deck. I tell you that.
yep.
I mean, you know that, but for it's Gogo does things here. You can run into a Surfer Stitch, and then oh my gosh, there were some crazy games I won with the card. You need to manage the card draw. That's the biggest question mark for me right now. You can play Demona, you can play Dumbo. Dumbo feels sometimes a bit slow. You can play Isma is also like very good with Snowfort because it's really hard to kill him then. Yeah, there are multiple things to try out, and I will work on that for sure. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, very glad to hear it. It's very, very exciting times you playing green purple. I think, yeah, there's certainly something there, and
Hmm.
looking forward to seeing where you take it over the coming weeks.
Nice. We didn't talk about Ruby. We forgot Ruby. Sorry, Ruby players,
No,
dear Ruby players. Is there anything we can say about Ruby?
um, so I am not confident to show builds of Ruby decks because I'm really not sure how to build them. Like a lot of the new stuff that looked like it was going to be really good isn't that good, but
Hmm.
I still think that there are viable Ruby decks out there. So red blue is something that people were really trying to make work again, and I think that there are cool red blue decks to be discovered. I'm not confident just yet. Some of the early iterations have felt a little weak to me, but
Hmm.
I'm sure they'll get improved over time. One deck that is attracting a lot of attention is Ruby Amber. So lots of people were very excited early on about some of the lines you can do with Rubin and removing damage from like a one
Hmm.
drop Mulan to play your 5 drops early. Um, I don't think that's a particularly appealing plan to me, but there are really, really strong things that deck can do. I've seen builds where they just, from turn 3, just start playing Baby Sisu, Horseman, like everything they play every turn just kills one of your things. They
Hmm.
massively
Hmm.
shut aggro decks down, and yeah, they're doing some really creative stuff. And I think there's definitely some build there that's really good. Um, I would worry a little bit about what some of its mid-range matchups are like, but between Ohana and stuff like that, they're drawing a bunch of cards. There's some good plans there. I'm I'm not the person to build that deck, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time before we see refined lists. But I've seen enough sort of proofs of concept to be reasonably high on the idea. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's we are in minds like we need to rearrange our mind sometimes because in the past Ruby was always the color like very vulnerable to aggro, a lot of slow stuff, and
Mm,
right now I would say Ruby is if you really want to consistently beat aggro, it's Ruby actually, and that's something we just
yeah.
we just need to rearrange because that's something probably most of us think no, Ruby is bad into aggro. But it's like if you really want to beat aggro, it's actually Ruby, not Steel anymore. Steel is also like good, but it's like um, you can build your deck really in a way where you crush aggro. And that's for sure an appealing thing for Ruby, and that's something Ruby enjoyers should have an eye on. Um, that's at least something the color provides now for me. And but yeah, as you said, like if it completely auto loses to like a lot of this control stuff or
Mm,
to then it's gonna be still hard. But maybe there's a way to build it a bit more grindy or like with a lot of card draw. I think this Ohana card, yeah, it could be in a bit of a trap for me. Like very slow and so nah, maybe it's okay in some situations, but yeah, overall, I'm not super convinced by the card. And the other Ruby card, yeah, the Ruby card draw is yeah nearly non-existent. In
mm,
Amber, you have at least the Surfer Stitch and stuff, but it's also not competing with the purple card draw or the blue card draw. Blue is nearly also like again like a very good card draw color actually, like with Pete now and Moana and stuff. There's a lot tools for drawing cards, but Ruby and Amber is always so very conditional. Also, like you
mm,
can Ruby has this new song which you can draw two cards if you banish the character, but it's such a heavy condition. And if you compare this with the purple stuff, that they all draw cards for free, like they just slam a demon, and yeah, I don't know. It's that's probably holding it still back. Um, But at least, I mean, it's not completely unplayable. I think, for instance, if like red purple, also like red purple, you can build that in a way where you're very good into aggro, and you have your lines that I think you can beat. Also, like it can be very aggressive and stuff. I think you can still win games against other decks. You can win games against purple decks with red purple. I think
mm,
there's no red purple could even play this new, which I still think is a bit underplayed. The 4 cost 5/5 evasive guy. I don't know. That's a strong card. I think 4 cost 5/5 evasive. That's such a roadblock for any deck that plays evasive. So your genies and imagine Blurple. They have to Hades it, or like
yeah.
let it go it. So otherwise, this cannot be removed. Um, Yeah, so yeah, I think has a chance. It's a bit better than last set, I guess. But I mean, the last two sets, Ruby was really, that's really crazy how bad color was. I
Yeah,
mean, this is crazy.
yeah, it
And
was effectively completely unplayable. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, and then even in this set, there was no real crazy good card. I mean, the best card is probably still the double brawl song, but it's not like
Mm.
super crazy addition. It's only a good tool, and yeah, maybe this new copper, this new Maui card, but nothing that's completely like no reveal card where I thought, wow, crazy, yeah, crazy, nice,
Mm.
like Demona or something in the past where I thought, okay, this is a crazy card, yeah,
Yeah,
so
only
we'll see.
purple's allowed crazy cards. You know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, we know that. Okay.
Nice.
Do we have everything? I think we have. Do
I
you
think
want
that's
to?
about everything. Yeah, it's a good. We've been over a lot of decks. We've talked about a lot of key cards. I think shaping up to be a reasonably decent metagame with a couple of very powerful things going on that we're
Mm-hmm.
just. That's what's the next couple of weeks are kind of going to be about. That it's like how much of a mental burden do those non-games of turn three tramp have on everyone? And how does the format reply to that? Because there are ways to do it, but they might make other matchups way too bad. I don't know. Um, yeah, all remains to be seen. But I'm reasonably hopeful for the early format. I think it's exciting. There are cool things to do, and I'm looking forward to the tournaments we've got coming up. Um, yeah, really excited to keep iterating on these decks and hopefully cook something good up for the DLC in Ghent.
Nice. Okay. Um, then we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing really
Mm-hmm.
quickly. I'm going to be casting at the CCQ in Leicester.
Oh,
That's
nice.
on the weekend of the 21st of February. So that's coming up pretty soon now. That's only, well, that's like less than 3 weeks away. So, yeah, I'm very excited about that. If you're coming along to that event, yeah, and you're a listener to the podcast, please do stop me. Please do say hello. I love to chat with everyone. If you're not registered for that event yet, please do come along. It's going to be an awesome one. It's in the Leicester City Football Club Stadium, which is a crazy venue for a tournament like this. So yeah,
Yeah.
should be a really really fun event. And Axion now that run the event they put on loads of side stuff for everyone to do. So yeah, encourage players of all experience levels to come along. Should be a ton of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing people there. So make sure you grab your tickets soon, and yeah, hopefully see you in a few weeks. And for those of you that are going to be that are not near the UK or in the UK, I'm looking forward to hopefully bringing some good commentary on the stream as well. So yeah, come and hang out in stream if you can't hang out in person. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It will also be one of the first tournaments with Winterspell, right? Or
Yep.
like bigger tournaments, yeah.
Yeah, one of the first sort of like high stakes tournaments for
Mm-hmm.
sure, where people are playing for invites.
Nice.
So
Cool.
there will be some cool stuff to see.
Yeah, a lot of snow forts. No, I don't know. Um, yeah, I think we're done, right?
Yeah, that's all for me.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope till next week and bye bye.
Bye bye.